joining us, not for the first time, on the We Are West Ham podcast. A good friend of ours, friend of the show, is the Daily Mail's very own women's football expert, WSL correspondent. It is Kathryn Batte. Kathryn, it's superb to have you with us on the show again. Before we get into the absolutely phenomenal results that the West Ham women have had since last week's podcast, that 4-0 win at Birmingham in the Conti Cup before a massive result at home to local rivals Tottenham, beat them 1-0 in the WSL on Sunday. It's common knowledge, I think, by this stage you're a Hull City fan, but more particularly a Jared Bowen lover. You're always on to me if ever he does anything well at West Ham, not willing to have any negative words said about him whatsoever. Are you willing to go on the record with your thoughts on the two absolute sitters he missed at Molineux at the weekend that almost certainly would have won West Ham the game?
Well, all I will say is if you don't keep a clean sheet, you won't get any points. So actually, that doesn't make any sense. But if you don't keep a clean sheet, then you're always putting yourself on the back foot. So,
like you are now.
Yeah. Listen, I've not seen the chances he missed. I only pay attention to the goals he scores, which has been quite a lot in recent weeks, and a lot of assists as well. So if he hadn't put the corner in at Everton, you wouldn't have won 1-0, would you?
There we go. Nice bit of deflection there.
I thought it back at the end there.
Yeah. Well rescued. Look, Kathryn, great to have you with us again, as it always is. West Ham women, absolutely phenomenal. It's fair to say, me and Jonesy, when we were chatting last week, there was a little bit of concern in the tone of our chat. A little bit worried. It just seemed like it was stalling into somewhat mediocrity again, which we didn't want. It's not something we've wanted from Olli Harder. There was real signs of improvement, and that 2-2 draw at Reading, the last minute goal that they got again, it just seemed like on the sort of cusp of becoming a bit of a trademark. Went to Birmingham in the Conti Cup last Wednesday, thrashed them 4-0, absolutely no trouble whatsoever to go top of the group. And then the win against Tottenham, that Spurs win is absolutely huge. Dagny Brynjarðardóttir, the Icelandic one. I'm not sure if I've got that pronunciation. It's about the 150th time I've tried it on the podcast. So, Dagny, if you're listening, forgive me. Have you got any improvements on that, first of all, Kathryn, that pronunciation?
No, there's quite a few players at West Ham whose names I can't pronounce, so I just always let you say them, and then you just sort of go like, yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, as if I know what I'm talking about. Well, look, yeah, Dagny will call her. Got the goal on the 16 after 69 minutes. Tottenham have been superb this season. They managed to hold on. West Ham, or both teams had 12 shots. West Ham 3 on target to Tottenham's 4. Slightly less possession West Ham had with 45%. But overall, it looked like a fairly even game. One West Ham deserved to win, and they've closed the gap on Spurs, 4th place Spurs. West Ham now 5th, level on points with Man United, but with an improved goal difference. A phenomenal win. That makes it 2 wins, 2 draws from their last 5. All in all, I mean, considering what Tottenham have done this season, the scalps they've taken, and the only team as well to have stopped Arsenal from winning, as far as I'm aware. What a win that is. What a win.
Yeah, it's a huge win, especially given the disappointment with the Reading game the week before, after being obviously 2-0 up and then conceding that late goal, as you said. But I don't think, from what I've watched of Tottenham this season, I don't think there's massive differences between them and West Ham. I don't think they're as far ahead as maybe what the table was suggesting earlier in the season. Tottenham are very well organised and they don't concede many goals. Something that we've seen in the past where they were maybe shipping quite a few more goals, but obviously Ryan Skinner's made them quite compact and hard to break down. But they don't score loads either. So that obviously helps with West Ham, and the fact that I know Tottenham were putting quite a lot of pressure on right at the end, and to hold on and to not concede late on, obviously like they did against Reading and Aston Villa a few weeks ago, was massive. And that should, give not only the defence but the goalkeeper and Olli Harder a lot of confidence in terms of going forward, that's not something that's going to creep in again, hopefully.
Is it fair to say then, Kathryn, because that me and James have got cause. I think for most of the season we've been pretty positive about we said, Ollie's job last season, and his record wasn't superb, but they became immediately more defensively resilient. If Matt Beard had stayed, they were going down, no doubt about it. Although his win record wasn't superb, it seems like that period of time over the summer, his ideas and the things he's trying to instill in the squad have worked. I've said about it. I spoke to you about it before. I said it on the podcast. Spoke to him at the end of or sort of over the summer. And a lot of his ideas were quite, they were interesting. It was really interesting to hear him talk. But I came away sort of thinking, oh, that's a lot to get over to a squad of players some of them were quite new. There was a reasonable turnaround as well. But he seems to have managed to do that. And the performances and most importantly, the results are starting to come quite quickly. What sort of a job do you think he's done?
Yeah, well, I mean, from where West Ham were when he took over, sort of we're coming up to a year now of him being in charge. I think he's done a great job. Obviously, it was difficult at the start because the confidence of the squad was probably quite low, and he had to come in, try and implement his ideas, but also get points on the board that needed to stay up. And obviously, that period over the summer has been crucial for him to get his ideas across, get his players in, maybe ship a few out who were coming to the end of their time at West Ham. The only thing I think he might struggle with this season is having what I'd call him like a natural goal scorer, someone who's maybe going to score 10 goals a season, that sort of mark. Whether it's going to be Dagny, I don't know if I pronounced that right, or not. She's looks like someone who can obviously finish quite well. I know Claudia Walker missed quite a few chances against Reading that maybe could have put the game to bed. Was unlucky with one. I think she hit the bar. But it's just whether there's going to be issues sometimes with not taking chances, because that's where they've dropped points. I think that's been the cause of them drawing games instead of winning them sometimes this season. But you can see a clear style of play. It's just a case of is there going to be that person to always finish off the chances? And I don't know whether he'll maybe look to recruit in January as well, but definitely positive signs.
Kathryn, obviously the Spurs game was brilliant, and it was refreshing to see them hold out after sort of conceding late against.
Definitely.
I think I can't remember the teams. Was it Reading and Villa? Reading. I think it was earlier in the season. With those two draws though, where they've conceded late on, we've put it down. I think we've spoken about it in the past. We've put it down to just kind of almost switching off at the end, which you would normally do when you concede a 92nd minute goal. But to happen twice in quick succession, sort of, what would you put that down to? Having sort of watched quite a lot of West Ham, is it them just kind of switching off at the end? Is it them getting tired? See, we've seen a bit of improvement with the Spurs game, but that must be a bit of a worry for Olli Harder, in that they do seem to concede late goals more often than not.
Yeah, and I think the two goals perhaps came from set pieces or definitely crosses. So I think in Villa it was a header late on, and the equaliser against Reading I think originally came from a free kick and then a shot that I've seen a few replays of it now, and there's no replay that shows you whether it was over the line or not. I know sort of West Ham were quite unhappy with it, and it did look quite close, but obviously no VAR, so not sure whether it did actually go over the line or not. But so whether that's a case of organisation from, you've got Kathryn Batte there who should be organising the defence in set pieces late on, you would think. But yeah, whether it is a case of switching off or maybe a little bit of fitness, because we saw Tottenham, come forward quite a lot at the end. Obviously, we're unlucky not to score, but I don't know. Yeah, it's something that obviously Olli Harder will probably have looked at, and he'll be glad that obviously they didn't concede against Tottenham, and hopefully it's something that doesn't reoccur. But it's difficult to judge. But it's interesting that those two goals did come from set pieces. So whether it's an organisational thing, I'm not sure.
Kathryn, there's no game until West Ham got no game until December the 12th at Everton. Just on that Conti Cup win last week. So West Ham are top of the group at the moment. It includes Brighton as well in the London City, Lioness and Birmingham, of course. Just explain to those listening how that format works. So they're top of the group now. Are they through now? Is there more games to come? How does it lie for West Ham in the Conti Cup?
It's a good question because the Conti Cup confuses a lot of people, and I can't say I've kept my eye across it completely because a lot of the games coincide with the Champions League when Chelsea and Arsenal are playing, and they come into the knockout stages. So I think it's the winners of each group. I'm not sure how many groups there are. If it's 4, and then second place, I think it's a certain amount of second place teams, and then Chelsea and Arsenal come in because they weren't in the group stage. But if West Ham finish top, then they're definitely through. I think you just play everyone once in the group. I think I'm right in saying that. So if they've played everyone, they should be through.
I
don't know the. So yeah, then it's a case of they'll definitely be through, and then it's hopefully avoiding Arsenal and Chelsea in the next round, because it is a competition that you think a club like West Ham might have a chance in, because I can't see Chelsea, Arsenal really prioritising it as a trophy they want to win.
It was one of those ones, wasn't it, last season with the few bright spots of the season, getting to the semi-final. Obviously came up against Chelsea and got thumped. I think it's 6-0, I think the scoreline was in the end. It's just one of those. It seems to have given the girls a chance to get that winning feeling, carry a bit of momentum, performing well in it. Obviously Brighton 3 points behind them at the moment. Just intriguing, because obviously the group stage first off after that. But as far as the WSL goes, Kathryn, you mentioned already that me and James have got reasons to be positive about West Ham. 5th place at the moment, like I said. That's what we were worried about. That win is so huge. That would have left them on 9 points. And the way all the rest of the games went, would have been 10th. I mean, it's so tight from literally 3rd, Brighton in 3rd on 15 points, down to Aston Villa in 10th with just 10. Birmingham and Leicester are well adrift, aren't they? Leicester played 8, lost 8. Birmingham have just managed 1 draw and 7 defeats from their 8 games. But it really is anyone's division, isn't it? Seriously exciting time to be a women's football fan. But West Ham in particular, looking ahead sort of to the rest of the season, or particularly up until Christmas, what do you think fans can expect realistically for his 5th place and holding on to that? A fair thing to expect. You've got Manchester United and Manchester City underneath them at the moment in 6th and 7th respectively. Is it one of those where you go, realistically, they're going to jump you, but you got Tottenham and Brighton above, who are teams West Ham would have fancied finishing above at the beginning of the season too?
Yeah, I think a lot of people are expecting Manchester City to come back a little bit after Christmas when they get some of their players back. That 3rd spot is up for grabs. There's so many teams that could get it. You've got obviously Brighton and Tottenham that have maybe looked like they might be the surprise team to get it. Manchester United will want it, and I think are going to try and invest in January to make themselves a bit stronger. And then obviously you've got City with those players coming back, and that win over Aston Villa showed that they have got quality in their team. Maybe just at times this season they've struggled to break clubs down, or something's not been quite right. They've obviously had a lot of players missing as well. So they're only, I think, Man City are about 5 points off Brighton, I think, and have to play them twice. So I think a lot of people are still thinking they might come back and get 3rd place. But it is anyone's game at the minute. And I think for West Ham, 5th place would be fantastic. It's where Everton have finished the last 2 seasons, and they had obviously aspirations of top 3 this year, not quite worked out so far. But now you've pretty much got that guarantee that it's going to be Birmingham and Leicester as the bottom 2. It's just a case of which one goes down. You just got to try and finish it as high as you can in that middle pack. I mean, realistically, 3rd is probably out of reach, but never say never. And you never know if West Ham might do a little bit of business in January as well that could make the difference. But I think they should really be looking at 5th, 6th as realistic targets. And obviously, I think 5th would be, show a lot of improvement from last season, and a run in the Conti Cup alongside that, or in the FA Cup as well, would also be very good.
Yeah, absolutely. Any likelihood for business, do you think, in January, just quickly?
Well, West Ham was one of the clubs that I had heard were looking to do a little bit of business quite early on, and had been kind of in touch with agents of players that are coming towards the end of their contract. So I wouldn't be surprised to see a couple.
Any name drops you can give us that you haven't already published in the paper?
I can't say any names at the minute, but in terms of the striking department, I wouldn't be surprised to see someone in that area come in January.
Excellent stuff. Well, West Ham Women fans, keep your eye on Kathryn on her Twitter and on the Daily Mail website and in the paper, of course. This just one more then before we let you go, Kathryn. No, it's a couple of weeks off yet. We're looking ahead to that Everton game, which is next up for West Ham on December the 12th. How do you see that going at this stage? I know obviously it's a way off and a lot can happen, but what's your early thoughts?
Well, Everton have been quite unpredictable under Jean-Luc Vasseur since he's come in. They obviously just got a victory over Leicester at the weekend with a late goal. Drew with Man United. It was quite an even game. So I think I'd go for a draw at the minute, because I think Everton are quite hard to predict. But you never know. West Ham will be feeling confident after that win. It's just a shame there's such a long gap between the two games.
Yeah, excellent. Well, look, Kathryn, it's been a pleasure having you on, as it always is. Kathryn Batte, WSL correspondent for the Daily Mail there. Exciting stuff and a brilliant win for the West Ham women over Tottenham. High-flying Tottenham at home on Sunday. And what a moment for childhood Hammers fan Dagny Brynjelstad Torda as well, and whose name I am going to nail down the pronunciation of by next week's show, that's for sure. No game, as we mentioned, till Everton away on December the 12th. But positive stuff for the West Ham women's team. Superb result. Thanks, Kathryn, for joining us. And stay